Why are those people so small? One bright little 4-year-old at an airport, seeing off a dear family friend named Ginger, who was returning to America, watched the plane climb higher, and suddenly, a tipping point, you might say, cried out in panic, "Ginger's getting smaller!" She took some consoling and much gentle explanation in the following dialogue that started, of course, where her young dependent mind was focused. On another occasion, this time on the Docklands Light Railway, another 4-year-old, seated in the driverless train's front seat, was asked by his grandfather, pointing to tiny figures on a distant bridge, "Why are those people so small?" Sharp as could be came the reply, "Because we are so distant." Surprised and delighted by the reply, grandfather asked him, "What do you mean?" "Wherever they are," said he without hesitation, "they are still the same size, even if they are in Australia." That didn't sound like an emotional tipping point, just an obvious fact in his quite big perspective for a still young mind. These two expressions of perspective on distance illustrate the nature of mindsets at two given points. The little girl illustrated a me-first starting point, feeling for others through their effect upon her me. The little boy started from a grasp of others first. Both children are of my family, so I've seen them grow up with an ability to hold both mindsets in oscillation, able to think of their own place clearly from their own standpoint, and at the same time to be fairly globally aware of the plight of others, thus being able and often willing to explore the practical relationship of those two viewpoints. That illustrates the issues of perspective we are trying to develop collaboratively in the 2015 Constitutionalists Initiative. We want to help ourselves and others to hold in our brain the universe as the context for all life, so that, as habitually as possible, we each see every relationship among people near and far, and every relationship of the interplay of all planetary life as presently significant in our thoughts and decisions as responsible human beings. We call this both and a systemic image and a serious supportive awareness and engagement with all its parts. All the great faith traditions have a basic sense of this ever-present both and creative tension when they speak of the wisdom of loving God, all aspects of cosmic creative energies, could we say, and loving one's neighbour, all right relationships, could we say? The 2015 Constitutionalists Initiative is spelling this out in the contemporary public arena in this manner. We are asking you to join or to continue a drive for wider traction to the thrust of building a movement called Trustees All. It could be a foundation on which we can spell out the nature of being human in that both and process of generating a critical mass. Building a critical mass of engaged citizens who, by the means of our rallying mantra, use the system to become the system, to change the system, can play their part in rebuilding trust in one another and in our relationships with those who seem to get smaller and yet remain always real people of the size, identity and dignity they should always have as creation's children. Moreover, as a critical mass, we will all know and readily recall the needs we have within the planets entrusted to us as global housekeepers. We must do this for the sake of all the 4-year-olds to follow, and for the consistent replenishment of the sacred planet which we inhabit significantly, although only temporarily. This very week, Jeremy Corbyn is stirring neglected expectations of a more inclusive society. And a well-known Paul Mason has recently condensed the uncomfortable findings of a heavy book into just a 3-minute video. It is blunt and to the point. Our Western political economy is a severely damaged system. 2015 constitutionalists now add here that our UK society must be given new ethical and democratic foundations on which we all must use principled, pragmatic ways to build a people's political economy of trusteeship in harmony with nature. For God's sake, for life's sake, for sanity's sake, to ensure at this late hour planetary replenishment and universal human flourishing. There is specific action you can take. Both join the Trustees All movement and participate in the 2015 Constitutionalist Initiative, thus readying ourselves for the next general election. As I end, I ask you, please, to watch and witness through the week ahead, being ever mindful of both the cosmos and the right working of all its vital parts. Thank you.